The big one is a record-breaking hypercoaster at Blackpool Pleasure Beach. This ride originally opened as the world's tallest roller coaster, and it retained that record in the United Kingdom until Hyperia opened in 2024. This is still arguably the country's most iconic roller coaster, but is it any good? Find out in this review. Aerodynamics was the premier roller coaster manufacturer in the 1980s. By the end of the decade, they started breaking the 200-foot barrier with the first full-circuit hypercoasters. First was Magnum XL 200 at Cedar Point in 1989. This opened as the world's tallest roller coaster, standing 205 feet or 62 meters tall. Then came Steel Phantom at Kennywood in 1991. This technically was their looping coaster model, but it opened with the longest drop of any roller coaster, as you plunged 225 feet or 69 meters down a ravine. And it also was the world's fastest roller coaster, hitting speeds of 80 miles per hour or 130 kilometers per hour. And then Arrow built 2 additional hypercoasters in 1994. Each would claim different records. Desperado at Buffalo Bills Casino would tie Steel Phantom for the speed and drop records. Meanwhile, Big One at Blackpool Pleasure Beach would open as the world's tallest roller coaster, a record it would hold until Fujiyama opened at Fuji-Q Highland in 1996. It also opened with the steepest drop of any roller coaster, as the drop had a 65-degree angle, but the height record was the more marketable claim. The Big One officially stood 213 feet, or 65 meters tall. However, that is not the height published by the park. They instead advertised the ride as 235 feet tall, which is the height above sea level. If we're using that logic, there are many roller coasters far taller than the Big One. Defiance at Glenwood Caverns reaches a height of 7,132 feet, or 2,174 meters above sea level, and Superman at Six Flags Mexico hits 8,160 feet, or 2,487 meters above sea level. This dubious claim is why Thorpe Park specifically made Hyperia 236 feet tall. They did this so there was no possible way for Pleasure Beach to still argue that the Big One had the height record. Big One is still advertised as the fastest coaster in the United Kingdom though. The park claims this coaster has a top speed of 85 miles per hour, or 137 kilometers per hour. That simply does not seem mathematically possible given the ride's actual height and drop. And per the aerodynamics press kit for this ride, the actual speed is listed as 74 miles per hour, or 119 kilometers per hour. That seems more accurate. Having said all that, there is no denying this ride is still a statistical monster, and it has an absolute presence. The red track can be seen for miles. It dominates the skyline not just of this park, but Blackpool as a whole. And it's equally as impressive up close. The drop looks downright insane from the promenade. Then the coaster interacts with multiple rides as it runs along Pleasure Beach's perimeter. This gives the park so much kinetic energy. I also love how the trains look. They currently sport a British flag paint scheme. The front has the Union Jack pattern, then the sides are mostly blue, so they contrast beautifully with the track. And as a bonus, this ride has a fantastic soundtrack. It is an epic score that plays all throughout the station. I think it's one of the more underrated theme park soundtracks out there. It really gets you amped up for your ride. I really am thankful this ride was even built. Because it was shoehorned in, it took 2 years to construct. Portions of the park and adjacent promenade had to close to accommodate construction crews and equipment. Then the station was optimized for a minimal footprint. It is narrow, and the transfer track was placed underneath the load platform, hence why you see lift equipment in the station. And the park has every intention to keep Big One running as long as possible. Over the past few off-seasons, they have retracked a few different sections of the ride. These can easily be spotted because they have a brighter shade of red. Since Arrow went out of business 2 decades ago, This work has been done by Tazager, a local industrial firm. While this ride has been immensely popular, it has had its fair share of issues. This ride has had not one, but two separate collisions near the station. The first was in 1994, and another occurred in 2000. The ride has since been reprogrammed, so two trains can no longer stack on the final brake run. Then the record-breaking drop was reprofiled after the initial year. The entry into the twist was putting major stresses on the track and train. The drop was modified so you enter the twist at a shallower angle. You can see where the support structure was modified today. And considering the current drop is still downright violent, I am morbidly curious just how much crazier the original version was. Now, rather than scrapping the old pieces of track, they interestingly were repurposed as supports for a few dark rides. Some were used to support the rocky facade of Valhalla at the park. Others were used in Pleasureland Southport's former Lost Dinosaurs of the Sahara. Big One also has valleying issues. The park has done a few things to mitigate this. 1. They lowered the height of the far turnaround. This is why the current track pieces do not quite line up with the supports. 2. The park will not send empty trains, which runs slower. To ensure the trains are heavy enough, they are filled with countless sandbags at the start and end of the day. 3. The park will not run this ride on windy days, and unfortunately due to Blackpool's location right on the water, this can happen quite often. If you see the ground winds exceeding the 15 to 20 mile per hour range, Big One is prone to closing. When the ride is open, it usually has the longest wait in the park. If you visit during the busy summer season, this line routinely reaches the hour mark. Big One used to have a much greater capacity. The park claims it could handle 1,650 riders per hour. Each train can hold up to 30 riders, as there are 5 cars with 3 rows of 2, and the ride used to run 3 trains at once. This assumed 55 dispatches per hour. But nowadays, the ride is a much lower capacity. The ride now hits the 720 to 750 rider per hour mark at best. This is for a few reasons, but the main culprit is that the park no longer operates the ride with 3 trains simultaneously. I have always seen the Big One with 2 trains in operation during my visits, but I've heard 1 train operations can occur on quieter days. I have seen a few reasons for the park stopping the 3 train operations. 1. Blackpool Pleasure Beach stopped the pay-per-ride option several years ago. Since all guests pay one price to enter, the park has less incentive to cycle Big One as often. 2, and possibly related to that, the loading policy is not fast enough for efficient 3-train operations. The park usually waits for the prior guests to exit the load platform before admitting new riders, and then the new riders need to take the time to store their belongings in the cubbies. The crew usually has the train ready to go once the prior train hits the brake run though, but a lot of that is because of how long the coaster is. 3. Big One has a perfect safety record with 2 train operations. Remember those 2 collisions? Both occurred with 3 trains in use. 4. Since the reprogramming does not allow 2 trains to stack on the final brake run anymore, a train can stop on the mid-course brake run if trains are not sent fast enough. This is not an ideal situation. 5. One of the trains is configured with a different set of wheels for cooler weather, so this particular train cannot operate in the warmer days with the other 2, and vice versa. Having said all that, when is the best time to ride the Big One with minimal waits? I find the mid-afternoon usually offers the shortest queues. This can still be lengthy on busy days, but it tends to be your best bet. Many people head to Big One immediately at park open. I do not recommend doing so, because the ride opens a half hour after the park does. It is more efficient to ride something like Nickelodeon Streak, that opens with the park, and will have a long wait later in the day. You also can encounter a lengthy wait at the end of the night. While the park typically will keep the queue open until closing time, they often will start filling one or both of the trains with sandbags. I've seen the park run one train full, and another one entirely with sandbags. In another visit, they ran one train full and loaded the back half of the other train with sandbags. This causes the queue to move much slower than the rest of the day. But if you visit on a day with high winds in the forecast, prioritize Big One whenever it is open. The ride closed by the end of the day in two of my most recent visits when the wind picked up. If you are visiting on a super busy day, the ride is included in the paid Speedy Pass Skip the Line system. You merge in the station and only have 2 switchbacks. Then you can pick your row. While this coaster is a super narrow station, you are free to wait for any row you'd like. I like the back car best by far. The first drop is downright insane, and that is where you need to be to maximize it. It is worth trying the front at least once though to feel the full force of the speed and get the unobstructed views, because the sightlines on this coaster are beautiful. I would maybe caution against a wheel seat or the very back of a car though. These seats are noticeably bumpier. Usually, this is more of an issue on wood coasters, but Big One is a janky ride. You will get some jolts in the valleys. I still find the wheel seats tolerable personally, but the experience is definitely more comfortable in the first 2 rows of a car, and the forces will not differ there. The trains are similar to the other Arrow hypercoasters in that they feel similar to the vehicles used in the company's mine train coasters. Riders are restrained by a seatbelt and U-shaped lap bar. The bar is pretty heavy, but there are wide spaces in between the ratchet levels, so there's a good chance you can get some room if you'd like it. Once dispatched, you round a corner and you pass through an oversized Pepsi can. This is because the ride was formerly known as the Pepsi Max Big One. While the soda sponsorship ended in 2011, the park decided to keep the can in place because it became so iconic, and I doubt Pepsi minds the free advertising. You then ascend the once record-breaking lift hill. You get some incredible views in the ascent. You see the whole park off to your right. Then in the distance, you can also see Blackpool Tower, but the views get even more impressive at the apex. As you look out over the Irish Sea, it is stunning. It is also freaky though, because you see the track literally disappear right before your eyes, between the steepness and banking. This drop is one of the best in the world. Usually, my favorite drops offer super strong airtime. Big One's drop does offer a good pop of airtime, but that is not what makes it notable. This is among the snappiest drops out there. And then you have the imperfect arrow profiling, which honestly makes it feel more out of control. The drop starts with a brief straight bit to build up some speed. Then the train is abruptly chucked sideways on the rightward twist. The back few cars get a violent lateral jolt. You do not ease into it. It is a sharp surge of force. This moment is extra intense in the very back car. It feels like you're being ragdolled. You are still airborne when the twist starts, so you have absolutely no way to brace for impact. Then the drop further shakes you back and forth as it straightens out. This moment always leaves me breathless. I know some find it a bit too much, but I love the intensity and rawness. The pullout then slams you into your seat. It offers solid sustained positive Gs, and I usually start to gray out here. You also will feel a noticeable bump here, which again is far worse than those wheel seats. That is a common theme with most valleys in the first half. I wish I could say that the rest of Big One is as intense as the first drop, but it is a steep drop off. Part of that is because the following hills are not steep. They feel more like elongated ramps, and the train takes its sweet time clearing a lot of them. So unless otherwise noted, they do not offer airtime, but I still find them enjoyable for 2 reasons. 1, they have quirky profiling, so you get some random laterals, and the valleys are really tight, so they offer rapid bursts of positive Gs. 2, the location. You get incredible views of the park, Blackpool as a whole, and especially the sea. There is something pure and exciting getting those scenic views while traveling at high speeds. The second hill best embodies all of this. It is too gradual to offer traditional airtime, but those in back do get some weightlessness over the crest. The X is particularly interesting though. There's a rightward twist halfway down that offers some solid laterals in the back because you take the turn with good speed, and the valley offers a nice burst of positive Gs for all. Next is a turnaround. This offers absolutely no force, but it offers a beautiful panoramic view. It does have quite a bit of shuffling, especially if you're in a wheel seat, but it is bearable because you're not going too fast. Next is another large camelback. You have a subtle leftward twist at the top, offering a pinch of laterals. Then the drop is cool because it's tightly wedged in between the support structure for both Big One and Infusion. Then the pullout once again offers nice Gs. The fourth hill feels nearly identical, except the pullout is even tighter, so you get some really strong positive Gs here. You will feel the ride trying to squash you into the seat. The fifth hill is considerably smaller, and you take it with some good speed, so it actually offers some weak floater airtime. It also has a gradual leftward twist, so you also get a pinch of laterals, and the resultant valley once again levies on the positive Gs. You then rise upwards into a mid-course brake run. This offers really good floater airtime in the front car. The entry is so sharp that even those in the back will get some negative Gs over the crest when the ride is running fast. This brake run does slow the train a considerable amount though, which makes the finale quite mild. After a small dip downwards, you have a 360-degree helix. The start is tame, but the exit offers some okay laterals and a great near miss with some supports. Next is a bunny hill alongside Bond Street. This may give airtime if the midcourse doesn't trim, but I've never been able to experience Big One without the trim. You then pierce through Nickelodeon Streak, zip past the Chinese puzzle maze, and swoop left into an underground tunnel. You get some light Gs here, but this part is more about the visuals. You then shoot upwards into the brakes. It offers some weak floater in front, but because it subtly banks right at the apex, it also offers a surprise lateral jolt. You then hit the brakes and return to the station, ending the 5,497 foot, or 1,675 meter long coaster. This is a very long ride, as it takes nearly 80 seconds from the drop to the brakes. So, what would I rate the Big One? I would give this coaster a 7 out of 10. Is this ride perfect? No, not by a long shot. It has a severe lack of airtime for a hypercoaster, and it definitely has some bumpy spots. But I prefer to focus on what this coaster does well. That first drop is incredible. There is nothing else like it out there. That lateral snap is heavenly, at least for me. Then this ride does a good job offering positive Gs in the valleys, and while this coaster may have several hills that are light on the forces, the beautiful views keep the elements enjoyable for me. Few coasters offer a better view than this one, and those views carry throughout the experience. Now this ride is not for everyone, especially if you're expecting the smoothness and negative Gs most other hypercoasters offer, but this ride definitely has a cult following. The ride has an almost mythical status in the UK. Heck, I heard about this coaster for years all throughout the 90s as I watched the Travel Channel TV specials. I think any coaster enthusiast needs to experience this coaster's one-of-a-kind drop in the back car. Then if you place a high emphasis on visuals like I do, Big One thrives. It is most definitely a different hypercoaster, but not a bad one, at least to me. So those are my thoughts on the Big One at Blackpool Pleasure Beach. What are your thoughts on this hypercoaster? Do you enjoy it? Let me know down in the comments. If you enjoyed this review, I would appreciate it if you gave this video a like, and you consider subscribing, because there'll be a lot more roller coaster and amusement park videos here at Canopy Coaster. Thanks for watching.